Hello, welcome to Aspire to Soar. My name's Kerry and today I'm joined by Rebecca from Silver Birch Therapies, and we are going to talk all about Rebecca's own personal journey, how she managed to reclaim her own health and how she is helping other people to do the same now. And we're also going to talk about how ancestral healing can fit in and be an important part of the healing journey. So welcome to the channel, Rebecca.
Oh, hi Kerry, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm excited to do this. So just before we get going then, could you give us a brief introduction to who you are and what led you into doing the type of work that you do?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm a therapist and I've worked in holistic health and wellbeing for about 20 years. I'm founder of Silver Birch Therapies and also creator of the Synergy healing modality. And what I do is specialise in customised online sessions which are available to clients all over the world, and they aim to heal, transform and clear blocks and limitations and support and empower them to live their most fulfilling life. And I tend to work with people who are passionate about living life to the full. They're desperate to make a positive impact or contribution in the world, and are ready to take a journey of self-discovery to be the best version of themselves. But something's normally knocked them off course and they now feel stuck or trapped, and they've got unresolved pain or they're experiencing relationship challenges. And quite often they've tried numerous methods to get themselves sorted, but nothing seems to be working for them and they're not making the progress that they want. So I've really found that these sessions can be the springboard to help them to get their life back on track. I've always been really interested in people and the environment. I started off getting a degree in geographical information systems. And while I was at university, I worked in a psychiatric hospital. And then I worked in the corporate industry doing consultancy, analysis and project management for a while. But I knew I wanted to help people in a more direct way. So after my first daughter was born, I trained in loads of different holistic therapies. And alongside this, I worked in the TV and film industry and worked for companies that supported holistic health. And then in 2017, I felt really cool to set up my own business. And then I took this online in 2019 because I wanted to really help people all over the world.
Wow. Wow, such a varied background from so many places. So to get to where you are, you went on your own journey to get here, and there was things that were personal to you that took you down this path. Could you maybe give us a background story on your own healing journey, how you managed to reclaim yourself back to health?
Yeah, so basically I've been on my own healing journey. It's really been an ongoing process. But I think really what the catalyst was a car accident that happened for me back in 2008. Now I had a history of back injuries, and at that time I was driving along and a lorry came and hit my car from the side, and that's when I broke my back for the fourth time. It was really, really frightening. I thought the lorry was going to crush me, and my daughter, she was only 3 at the time, she was in the back of the car, and I was absolutely terrified something bad was going to happen to her as well. And then after the accident, I was left with chronic pain. I went to see the doctor and my injury was misdiagnosed by the medical profession. They said that they thought it was just whiplash and it would eventually resolve itself. And I kept returning back to the doctors, but they kept saying the same thing, that, you know, it's whiplash, just it will take time to heal. And eventually, after about 18 months, they x-rayed me and did an MRI scan and actually found the fractures and told me at this point there was nothing that they could do for me. All that I'd be able to do was to take strong painkillers that was going to be able to mask the pain, and to take antidepressants. And then they referred me to a rehab centre where I lived for several weeks, where they had about 10 people from across the UK come in. We were all being taught how to learn to live with, to manage chronic pain. And I'd always been a really active person, and I had 2 young children at the time, and suddenly I couldn't do all the things that I loved to do. My husband was working away at the time for months at a time, and I was having to bring up the girls on my own, and I couldn't sleep at night. The pain was really intense, and it would constantly wake me up. I just couldn't find a comfortable position. I couldn't do the daily tasks, like really simple things like pushing a shopping trolley or doing housework properly. And it hurt to stand and it hurt to sit. I couldn't drive for long periods of time. I was so uncomfortable. And then I couldn't do all the activities that I like to do as well. And I'd always been super duper active, and I just couldn't do it. I suddenly was really restricted, and the whole experience really knocked my confidence as well. I knew medicine was taking that for the rest of my life just wasn't going to be an option for me. I took it on one occasion and it was so strong, I couldn't function. And I was desperate to be well, so I decided to try loads of different alternative methods and holistic therapies to try and combat the pain. But what I found was that all of these had only got limited short-term success. I'd always been really interested in the mind-body connection, and so I was drawn to train in hypnotherapy and regression, and I also became a Reiki master and metatronic healing practitioner. And this is when I became properly aware of how trauma can become trapped in the body. And when it's not resolved, it can have a devastating effect on all different areas of your life. And it was at this point I started researching and learning absolutely everything that I could to try and find all the different factors that can affect health and well-being and can create blocks and limitations and imbalances. And I combined all my experience, knowledge and tools together. And this is when I created this new healing modality called synergy healing. That's the process that I used on myself. And that's when I really started to notice that my health and well-being started to improve dramatically. I felt so much better, and all the other areas in my life started to transform in the most amazing ways as well. And I noticed this is when like my relationships started to improve, and I became much more intuitive. I'd always been really intuitive, but it just grew stronger and stronger. And I just felt so much happier. And that's when I felt driven to share this healing technique with other people. So I set up my practice, and then that's what I've been doing. I've been sort of bringing this technique out into the world.
Wow.
Now I'm really active. I'm able to do all the things I love doing. I can do all the water sports, cycling, mountain biking and skiing that I love doing.
Wow.
So
you are pain-free now? Do you still have
pain? So I sleep really well now. I mean, before I was literally getting little snippets. I was sleeping maybe an hour or two at night. I was chronically exhausted all the time, and I just felt it really hard to function because my mind was always having to sort of like put the pain to one side and try and function, do everyday activities as well. So yeah, it was really hard to kind of have focus. But now I'm completely active. I'm out and about doing things. I go traveling when we're able to. I do everything that I love to do now. So
wow.
Yeah. So lucky.
And it must feel so amazing as well to be able to have your life back after being so restricted for so long, to be able to do all these things again.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I mean, I didn't accept the fact that I suddenly felt I felt young, and I've been told that sort of things were over and I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do, and I just didn't accept that. I just kept thinking there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. I'm a really happy person. I love life, and I felt like that was just something that wasn't going to be looking at the root cause of the issue. What the problem was, it was just going to be masking the pain, and that wasn't going to help me. And I wasn't going to be the best mum I could be to my girls when I just couldn't function properly. So that's what I set out to do, was to really, I healed myself, and then to be able to share this sort of this gift and all this knowledge and skills with others, and be able to help them to be able to do the same.
Wow. Did just wondering, did your medical team that were looking after you, did they have anything to say about the fact that you completely turned your life around?
I haven't actually told them.
No.
I haven't been back to the doctor. I just haven't needed to go back. So I don't know. I mean, obviously at the time, I just remember they gave me 100 tablets of the strongest painkillers that they could give me, and I took one and I never took any others. That was it. That was my route. I just decided that wasn't going to be my course of action, and so I've not needed to go back to the doctor about my back injury since. It was just over time. I just all of me, but not only has it healed my back pain, my chronic back pain, just my health in general has improved dramatically. And if I ever have anything that sort of starts coming on, I'm able to do this process on myself, and suddenly I feel back in balance. And again, suddenly I seem to heal a lot quicker than previously. It's amazing. It's an amazing technique. I use it all the time on myself, and it really helps to sort of improve my health and well-being, my mental state as well. It can really shift my mental state too. And if my emotions are ever off, it can really help me get me back into that sort of balanced frame of mind as well. So it's kind of like an amazing tool all around.
That connection between, like you say, the mind-body connection, that way that your mental state can affect how you physically feel as well sometimes. So just by adjusting the mental side of how you're feeling, you can feel that in your body as well, which is fascinating, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now the way I imagine the way you look at a human body is different to how you did before, and in a more holistic way, especially including the mind-body connection. Do you have a view about how our human body is in your mind, and how you work with it within your practice?
Yeah.
And go on, carry on, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I think humans are incredibly powerful, but we're also really complicated. And we're affected by so many different factors. And I think this is why I try and look at people holistically, because it's our upbringing and our environment, our finances, our genetic makeup, our diet, our career choice, family, education, cultural, religious background. There's all these different things that are impacting us all the time. And then adding to that, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, all our personal life experiences, and then the stories that we attach to those. And, you're dealing with so many different things. And that's why I wanted to create a process that would look at everything, because when one part's out of balance, this has a knock-on effect, and that's when it can change up all areas of your life. And our energetic systems and our bodies are very, very complicated, and recorded in them is every experience that we've ever had. This is recorded in our energetic system, our nervous system, at a cellular level, and in our subconscious. And it doesn't matter whether these experiences are real or imagined, or if they're perceived subjective experiences, but it's our interpretation of it combined with all those other factors that are affecting our consciousness and then our life experiences. And our mind and body and energetic systems store all trauma and fear responses, as well as belief systems and learned behaviours and memories, phobias and addictions. And this hidden information is actually the driving force behind what's running all of our decisions and our actions and our behaviours. And scientific studies have proved that 95% of this is all going on in the background. And this can actually be sabotaging or undermining our efforts to create the life that we want. So it can create these blocks and distortions and imbalances. And if these aren't resolved or processed, that's when they start to manifest as illness and disease. So when we have these imbalances or these imprints stuck in our system, and we need to clear those out the way, and also the underlying cause of the trauma and the pain, and heal these, that's when we can start getting massive shifts in our health and well-being. And we can start to experience more balance and alignment with our life.
And do you believe this is something that everybody can do? Is it possible for everybody to manage to heal themselves?
Well, I think healing yourself is a complicated thing, because there are so many different factors that are at play all the time. So it's each person's journey is completely different, and because we're so complex and we're being influenced by so many different factors, I think the most important thing is to basically become into your own power, because when you're in your own power, you can make empowered decisions. And I think actually sometimes, we do benefit from the support of the medical profession. Actually, I'm not somebody that is against that. I think we can work in tandem together. It's important. Each person is individual. We need to look at them, all their circumstances, all their life experiences, and those of our ancestors, and see what's impacting them, and how then they can become empowered and become aware and see things from a higher perspective, so they can make decisions which aren't being influenced by other factors that might be distorting their perception on things. Yeah. So I think it's a lot of it is putting the control back in, where people aren't sort of victim to their circumstances anymore. They're actually sort of in control of their own situation, and then they can make those empowered decisions about how to handle their health and well-being.
Yeah, I think human beings are fascinating, aren't they? I mean, the simple fact that every single one of us sees the world in a different way. A combination of all those factors that you've just touched on and spoken about.
Yeah, there's just so many different things all the time that are influencing us, and and that's why it's so important to look at these, because I think sometimes if you go to see your GP and you have a little 10-minute slot, they will look at the symptom, but they won't look at the root cause. And so this is why what I believe what's so important is to look at the root cause, shift it from there, and then actually it has a ripple effect. It starts to change and manifest. And that's when your situation can actually change, because when you clear the underlying cause of it, and quite often there is an emotional reason behind the physical issue that's presenting itself.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen that myself. You take away even just using EFT, you take away the emotional thing behind the physical pain, and the physical pain can drop like that, right down. And just by taking away the emotional part that you were hanging on to, particularly the things like you said, car accidents and things like that, the way you described our energetic system holds on to all of these things.
I think this is the thing, and I think it wasn't just the impact. Obviously, they said to me that it was a bit like a bomb shock because the reverberation of the shock going through the body was like that. So that was a physical trauma, but really it was that fear. I thought the lorry was going to crush me. I thought in that moment that I was going to die, but I also thought that my daughter, something awful was going to happen to her. And that was what got trapped and locked into my cellular memory at the time and into my nervous system. And it, and that's when you were like, all that charge was trapped in my body.
Yeah.
And as I said, this was a repeating pattern of mine, though. It's actually the fourth time that I've broken my back as well. So I'd had this history of ongoing things happening to me.
Which is interesting, I think. Sometimes when these things happen, it's sort of it's a way of I tend to think anyway of introducing you to your calling of what you're here to do, and the universe will keep telling you over and over again until you finally get the hint that this is what you need to do.
Absolutely, it's a bit of a course correct.
Yeah, exactly, and I really do believe that. I think that's the way things work, and yeah, like you say, it just gets louder and louder and louder.
Yeah, I think there's two things going on, because also while you're holding this energy in your system, you also attract to you these situations that resonate with that.
Yeah.
So if you're holding fear in your system, you start to attract situations that cause fear. So by clearing out fear from your system, then it starts to shift your reality anyway. Your experiences start to change. So it's kind of, I think there's the two parallel things just happening at the same time. But I think that's why it's really great to work on processing these unresolved emotions that might be held in your system, clearing those out, because that's when you start to change your sort of energetic frequency, as it is, which is what actually is responsible for attracting those things into your life that match that same frequency.
Yeah, which is interesting, isn't it? When people talk about the law of attraction, and people you always just think of people. I think a lot of people associate the law of attraction with money. Is that's what's that's how I attract abundance into my life. But you don't realize of all the other things that you're attracting into your life.
Well, this is the thing; it's so complicated, and all this stuff is held in our system, and it's where I said it's held in our systems and in our field, and that is what is the magnet that's drawing those circumstances and people and events into our life that are matching that frequency.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? I think it's a fascinating topic, particularly our energetic system and the way it stores and holds this information. Do you have in your mind, do you have a view of how it stores it? Is there a way that you look at how we store this information, or is it just
so basically it's like everything holds its consciousness, and it's like it creates these blocks and distortions. So it's almost like they create distortions so we transmit energy signals all the times, and then we're constantly receiving signals as well, and all this information is actually held in throughout our whole body, in our cells, in our nervous system, in our subconscious, and in our energetic system. So it's held in all these different places, and even though we're actually mostly people think that we're physical matter, we're actually 99.99% space, and that's holding all this consciousness within us, and that's what's holding all this information about us. And it's like we each have our own unique signature frequency signature. We're like our own radio station, and that's what we're attracting to us. So it literally means that your energy can affect your life experience, and that's why it can affect your health and your well-being and your relationships, your love life, the patterns that you have, your family dynamics, your finances. So when you were saying about the law of attraction, it can impact your finances, but also your career choices. All these different things are being run by something that's literally happening in the background that we're not even aware of. So it's only when I'm fortunate enough that I've learned how to tap into this and be able to see, I can see where these blocks and distortions are being held within people, and then work on clearing these for them, and so work out what the root cause of the problem is, and then that can shift everything back. And I use the process on my life all the time. I'm constantly looking at what's happening in my life, looking at all my interactions, all my experiences, and looking at it as a personal mirror, like as a mirror that's reflecting back to me. And if things are running smoothly, then I know that's great, that things are going well. And then if something's showing up in my life that doesn't feel right, then it's almost mirroring to me what's a part of myself. Then I start looking and thinking, well, where's that coming from? Is that something in me that I need to look into?
So that's a fascinating way to live. It's a really interesting way to live, isn't it? Constantly taking in your own surroundings as feedback to use.
Yeah, and it is, I use it as a total feedback mechanism, but it's amazing because I've noticed that by doing that I can do these like quick shifts on my life, and then everything around me starts to change really quickly. So it's amazing. It's like a little miracle.
Yeah, but it's something that we should all be taught, really. I
agree, and it's one of these things that people, they just, it's so fundamental. And yet at school we're not taught about our energy, we're not taught about all these different things that can influence us and that can change our life. And we're constantly surrounded by all this energetic information that we're picking up, and watching TV and Wi-Fi and signals coming from it. They're all leaving this energetic footprint on us all the time. And if people don't understand, they don't know how to sort of look after their energy, then it can literally change. It can have a massive impact on your life.
Yeah. And I always say to people, one of the most easiest ways to sort of understand how you are as an energetic being and how other people are is to watch those interactions. So watch how you are when you enter a room with other people, because you can scan that room and know a lot about people that you don't even realize. And if you pay attention to that, you can start to really understand how you interact on that level. So you'll know that that person over there is in a bad mood, or even though they've got the biggest smile on their face, and you know these things about people, and we can all do it, and we all do it. We just don't pay attention.
Absolutely. So I always say it's really important to be conscious of your own actions, your interactions, and your reactions. And that's the three different things that you should be looking at all the time, because that's when you can start looking at how you act, or how you behave, the way that you interact with others, and then your interactions, and then you start looking at yourself differently and thinking. Sometimes if you hear a voice in your head, you're like, oh, is that me? Am I thinking that, or where's that come from? Is that someone told you that? You remember a teacher telling you that when you were younger, or a family member saying something to you, and you're like, oh, hang on, that's not even my thought. Where's that come from?
And it's fascinating and interesting, and something that we should all do a lot more of, instead of just going along with what we think we believe. Because I think sometimes we believe something, and that voice in your head tells you something, and you don't question it, and then you find yourself angrily defending this voice in your head that you don't even question, and you never question, and then one day you do question it and you think, oh, I don't really understand, like you say, where that came from, how that happened, and why I think that way. And all of a sudden everything changes.
Exactly.
So fascinating. So one of the things that you do as a piece of the puzzle that I don't think a lot of people really think of is ancestral healing. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that means to you and how you apply ancestral healing within the work that you do.
Yeah, of course. So as I was saying, that our energetic system and our bodies at a cellular level hold all this information, but evidence from the scientific community has also shown that a person's ancestors contribute to their own health and well-being. And studies have said that we can also carry the experiences of our ancestors as well, and our family history is written into every cell of our body as genetic memory. So that means that the events that happened in our ancestors' lifetime can have changed the way that their DNA was expressed, and then this can be passed down to the next generation. This process is known as epigenetics. It's really worth checking out a guy called Bruce Lipton. He's absolutely brilliant and explains it really, really well. But it suggests that trauma and hardships and painful experiences and memories can reverberate down through the generations. And it means that we can actually hold echoes from war and famines and disasters, financial ruin, abuse, all these different things that have taken place in the past. And they can actually come through to us as well through epigenetic inheritance. And it's not just your eye colour and everything like that that's passed down. You can also inherit physical vulnerabilities and weaknesses, poor health. So I noticed this within myself, that I had tonsillitis and glandular fever when I was a teenager, and my daughter now has just been recently diagnosed with exactly the same. So yeah, exactly. So this stuff can be passed down, and fortunately I was able to do a session for her, and literally she's like back to normal now. But yeah, it just shows how these things can be passed down as well, but also any unresolved things, for any traumas that have happened to people, pain, any negative energies or suppressed feelings, particularly if people haven't resolved them when they were alive. Those things, those memories or damaging beliefs and attitudes, even judgments, can get passed down, and they can influence how you think and you behave. And it can be related to literally things like relationships, even money issues as well, that can be passed down too. And you can get things like heartache or depression, loneliness, low self-esteem, struggle energies, they can come down too. And so if old wounds haven't been in the family lineage, haven't been looked into, this can have a massive ripple effect and influence you today. And so by resolving it within yourself and clearing that energy, it means you then don't pass it down to your children. So yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, I found that implementing this into my sessions has had a sort of profound effect on people and really shifted things, not only within them, but also within, they've noticed shifts within the behaviour of their children, or yeah, so it's been, I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, because I guess once you so you're saying once you heal something in you, it can affect the family line. Does that work backwards as well as forwards? So if I heal something in me, it could heal my mom who is still around from hers.
So, yeah, so I've noticed quite dramatic shifts by me doing work on myself. It's shifted things within my family.
Wow, which is so interesting, isn't it?
I know. It's crazy but amazing.
Is there any sort of physical, tangible explanation for that? So I know we're talking about epigenetics, and so that's sort of an understandable physical, tangible thing. But how does that work backwards? Are we just going back to our energetic signatures again?
Yeah, I think it's just because we're all interconnected. We're not separate. We're all interconnected. So when you change your energy within you, it literally starts to shift things around you as well. You know, we were talking about this transmitting and receiving things. It's almost like when you switch off these certain frequencies that you might be holding in your system, it changes things around you. So what I've noticed is by changing things within me, it changes the behavior of the people around me. They respond to me differently.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
And you notice that in your children as well. So you heal something in you, and you notice it in them as well.
Yeah, and my I've got 2 brothers and a sister, and yes, I've noticed it sort of it reverberates out within my family tree. I've noticed it that there's shifts all around. So I love watching it and seeing sort of how things unfold.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And you know, and as I say, these are shifts, all sorts of different shifts, and I'm very lucky. I'm very close to my family, so I think I've been given that, you know, it means I can literally witness how these changes can, by changing stuff within me. And I've learned all these techniques. I taught myself how to do this stuff first, and watched how it changed my life. And when I realized the impact it was having and the benefits it was having, that's when I realized it was possible to do this and the changes it could make, and wanted to be able to help and integrate that in my sessions with others.
It's such a big topic, isn't it? And it's so huge, and yeah, we just don't know about it, and we just don't, the majority of people going about their daily lives, we just don't understand how our energy intermingles with other people, and how making these shifts in your life and changing things, healing things, can change everything for you and all of the people that are around you, and then I get all the people that are around them.
And I think there is a rising awareness about this. I think it's becoming, you know, the consciousness of the planet is changing, and people are becoming more and more aware of their energy, of the systems, and of the possibilities of what people can actually do and how powerful we actually are. And I think there will be a natural shift for people to start using this much more, you know, as mainstream, rather than currently, you know, people are a bit like, oh, it's a bit out there, people don't really understand it. So I think it gradually, more and more people are tuning into this idea that actually we can be in control of our lives a lot more, and how all these different things are influencing us and how we can take that power back.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not just by these people on the fringe, it's these big scientists are weighing in on the discussions now. You know, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, there's so many of them all weighing in onto this topic and backing it up with.
And I think this is it. What we need to do is get this out. That's, you know, part of my mission is to get this out so that people have that choice, that they realise that their energy, actually, when they realise they're in their own energy, it can shift everything. You're not picking up on other people's stuff. You know, you're so much more in control of your own life. You understand you can see things from a higher perspective. It just totally changes the way you look at yourself and the world and everything around you.
And it's exciting. It makes everything so exciting. So many possibilities. Then we're not limited to these little people that have to do these mundane things every day to just get by. It's exciting and expansive, and
No.
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what you do then. So you put together this new healing system. This, is it synergy
Healing.
Okay. So
yeah, so basically I called it synergy healing because it's like the different parts, the sum is greater than the individual parts. So that's what synergy is.
Yeah.
So so it's using all the different tools, techniques, everything that I've ever learned. And I'm talking about through my entire life, rather than it's not like through all my personal experiences, it's through all my trainings. I've done so much training in so many different therapies and sort of different modalities, and I've amalgamated sort of the best of what I can put together to create this system, which I've spent the last few years literally sort of designing this way. And what I wanted to do was to help clients to be able to get dramatic shifts as quickly and effectively as possible, and to be able to maintain those beneficial results. So it's almost like my healing journey condensed, so it shortens the curve for other people. And sessions resolve, heal and transform issues, symptoms, pains, blocks and limitations, and they go back to the root cause. So they pinpoint what the factor is and wherever it stems from, and then they clear and transform the underlying cause of whatever's keeping them stuck and preventing them from getting their desired outcomes. So it's working on multiple levels at the same time, and it's bringing all of a person's elements of their life back into balance by clearing things at the deepest levels. And it heals the origin, but also everything that's connected to that incident. So it can be something that's been showing up in your family lineage, or it could be an experience or an event or a trauma or a repeating pattern or theme that's occurred at some point during your life. And it can literally stem back to when you were in the womb, or during your own birth, or from your childhood. That's a very, very common time for people. Also during people's adolescence, or something that might have happened in somebody's adult life, or even whether it's a collective issue that's sort of impacting you as well. And what it does is the sessions heal the negative trauma, and then all the stories that formed around that, so all the fears and the pain, the thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs and the mindsets, and any maybe destructive lifestyle habits or behaviours that might have developed as a result. So it kind of brings everything back into balance. And what I found was, rather than having to go back, so when I trained to do hypnotherapy, quite often during regression sessions we would go back and we would explore this, but it could be quite traumatic for somebody. And so I thought there must be a way to be able to shift this without actually having to relive the traumatic or painful event. So that's why I work very, very quickly to clear as much as is physically possible within a session, to be able to get a rapid transformation. And sometimes it can take a while for all the benefits to unfold and for people to fully understand all the different tangible benefits of the session. But sometimes they can get literally shifts in an instant. It's amazing, yeah. So what I've noticed is it can help improve health and well-being. It can take the emotional charge out of an event, so you can remember the event, but it just means that it doesn't have that horrible power over you anymore. And you can have, it really brings into somebody's mind awareness about their situation. So it's all about empowering them to be able to take back control of their life, to be able to see things from a higher perspective, so they can feel more empowered, and then they can build happier relationships or improve their financial situation. And also what I've noticed as well is it can help actually supercharge people's personal development and their spiritual connection as well, so they feel much more aligned with their life purpose and feel more passionate about things too. And it can lead to lasting tangible breakthroughs and change. So, you know, people can feel more optimistic and do things that they love doing again.
So does somebody have to come to you with a particular problem?
No, so basically what I can do is that puts again a human concept on things, and think that that's what the issue is, but actually there might be an underlying cause that they don't know. So I have the ability, what I do is I'm able to scan somebody's, with their permission, I scan their unique energy frequency, and I can see where these imprints are happening, where they stemmed from, and whether it came back through an ancestral lineage or all these different factors that have influenced them. And I work on multiple levels, clearing all these different and helping to heal, or depending what the issue is, just clearing this as quickly as possible and sending healing to these points as quickly as possible. And then they notice in their life, I tell them always to look out for internal shifts, so it's the way they think, yeah, their thoughts, their beliefs, their emotions, how they handle situations. And then also watch in their external environment, as we said earlier, how things around them start to change. So watch how their relationships start to shift. Suddenly they might get new job offers or promotion at work where they've previously been stuck. There's all these different shifts that start to happen in their life. So it's really, really interesting how sort of things start to unfold when people have sessions. But I tune in, I work out what is physically able for somebody to be doing. I'm like a bridge, and I'm guided during the sessions and tuned in and guided to work out what needs to be looked at and to help them to make the shift that they need. And sometimes the thing that they thought they need is something we address a little bit further down the line, but that they needed a foundation of something sorting first.
Yes.
So I'm very intuitive. I know how to work, and I can see this information, and that's what I do.
Okay. And does it feel, for somebody having it done, would they feel emotional if you cleared an emotional block? They don't have to go through, they wouldn't get those
no. So it's lovely. So I tend to do online sessions for clients all over the world via Zoom. They love it because it means sometimes they can just snuggle up in bed. They don't have to go out anywhere. They're in a comfortable, safe space. And while I do the sessions, at the beginning, I take them into a nice, gentle, guided meditation so they feel in a really comfortable space. At that point, that's when I do the healing and the clearings and the transforming any of the things that need to be worked on during the session. I make notes of the information that I think is going to be relevant to them. And sometimes they feel warmth or tingling, or they might get sensations in their body. So it's, I mean, most people say that they find it a really relaxing experience, that they find it, sometimes people, they get memories, they get flashbacks, they get massive insights, they can get clarity on situations, I get these huge aha moments, things come through. So people really enjoy it as a process. And then they tend to message me afterwards and let me know all these different shifts that have happened with them and how they're feeling. And sometimes after a session, I suggest that people drink lots of water, and sometimes deep unresolved emotions can come through. So, people have to be wary that information can come through to them, but it's just the energy that's been locked in their system for years, potentially being released, moving through. And then afterwards, once this is all rebalanced, they tend to feel so much better. So it's all kind of part of that healing journey.
Do they ever get, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, just while we're on that bit of the topic, do they ever get, so you clear for them, and then does their subconscious in a way throw up stuff that's been hidden then? Does it require
so that's why I always so that's why I always suggest people, rather than having one session, is to book a block of sessions, because quite often things are uncovered during, we start to move those deep, it's because these sessions are transformational, and it's deep healing. It's stuff that most people don't know. It's the stuff that's been really buried down. So we can just clear that, and then, but sometimes something might be exposed a few sessions down the line that line that needed to be addressed. And if there's something we need to look into in more detail that would be beneficial, and I always check whether I feel it would be beneficial for the person to know, I do regression sessions. So I am able to go back if it's something that would suit them to go back and relive an event and find out about it, then that I have the ability to do that. But most of the time I just don't think there's any point. It's just to clear the energy from it without having to relive it. And if it was traumatic the first time, no one wants to go back there again. So it's just to clear the energy from that and bring healing to that, and help that person to process, work through that, and give them the insights. Quite often, like I said, it takes that emotional charge out of it. They just feel that something that might have been holding them in the past shifts, and then they're able to move forward in the next in a positive way for them. But really, it's all about me holding the space and allowing them to do the healing themselves.
Which is fascinating, because people don't realize how much they can do once they've
and their bodies are incredibly intelligent, and they everyone has that innate ability within inside them to be able to heal. So it's just moving, it's like it's shifting a belief system, and it's just or the mindset, or it's doing all of that really, really quickly to get them so they have those tangible results. But I am all about tangible results, because I think that's what people need. They want to feel better, and they want to see their life changing. So
exactly. You do.
My ultimate aim is to be able to empower them, but then they also need to take the actions themselves. Quite often it might be a fear of something that's holding them back, and they might have to step out of their comfort zone a little bit to make a change. Or if I've had a situation where somebody, you know, they might have been in an abusive relationship and it's taken them courage, they've had to address that relationship, because ultimately that might be the thing that's affecting their health. They have to have the courage to look at that relationship and realize it's not working for them, or what they can do to try and resolve it, and then make those changes. So, you know, it's a process, it's a journey that they need to, it's all about empowering the person and having somebody to support them sort of through the process.
Yeah, and like you said, taking action is always an important one.
Action is absolutely essential, isn't it? You know, if I can sit there, that you have to be invested in your own healing. You have to want to make those changes. You have to take the actions that are going to support that.
Yeah, but oftentimes you can, you know, we make these shifts, we clear these blockages, and that gives you then all of a sudden you can
ignites you. You have that power. You want to do it then, because you've suddenly that thing that was stopping you is being shifted, and suddenly you then have that. You know, it's almost like you have the clarity on a situation that you do feel able to suddenly handle it in a different way, or address it, or have the confidence to do something that maybe you wouldn't have done before.
Yeah, and you don't even know, a lot of the time you don't even realize. You'll just think, right, I'm just going to do this today, and that's, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. So I always think, you know, it's very much about intention as well, as putting a really strong intention out, and a positive, being really positive and intentional about what you're doing, and then taking those aligned actions. And aligned action is really important as well, not just any action. It's got to be kind of in alignment with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Working for you to help to benefit you.
Exactly. But I don't think, again, the power of just the intention, we don't really understand the power of where we put our intention is where our attention goes, because your intention's there, and it's just the changes that can happen by just focusing and having a set intention and knowing it and living it. You know, really meaning it, I think is the word I'm looking for, really meaning it, rather than, and then you've got your blocks and everything's cleared out your way, and you can just follow it. And, it's fascinating. It's just such a huge topic, and we could talk about it all day, I think. If you were going to talk to somebody who was just starting on this journey and they weren't really ready to come for any sessions yet, but they wanted to do something themselves at home, that they could maybe take a little step to try and prove to themselves that things do work, you can do this talk of energy, is actually, you know, tangible, you can put it into your life. What would you have any advice that you could give somebody to maybe start playing around with that a little bit, to see where they could go with it?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's absolutely vital to keep our energetic system healthy and practice what I call energetic hygiene. So it's just as like we clean our teeth every day, or, you know, do the dusting, clean the house. It's something that's really important to keep our systems and maintain them. But as we said earlier, it's not something we're often taught about. And because we're always picking up on all this energetic stuff, particularly these days, there are more and more people that are highly sensitive to the world around them and can be picking up on other people's thoughts and feelings and stress and pain. And this is a term that's known as an empath. And I remember when I first heard that term, it suddenly made so much sense to me. I completely understood why it was affecting the world around me. And there are loads of benefits to it. You know, it's like a superpower. You can be highly intuitive and you can use it for your benefit. But if you don't learn to manage your energy, you can end up feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and drained. When I used to do work, so various things, I used to notice how that it would really affect me. So it was important to keep my energy in a healthy state. And also when seeing clients, it's important to make sure that I'm constantly keeping my energy clean and sort of aligned. So what I've done is I've created a free resource called an Empath Empowerment Guide, which people can download for free, and also they can access an empath energizer recording. So that is something which literally I've done it's like a 20-minute recording, or the actual recording part is even shorter, so people can listen to it in the morning or at night, and it's a powerful process which will clean and balance and realign their energy, and it will just make sure that they're actually functioning in a much better way. So basically, they just need to go to my website, and there's all the details of it, and they can literally download it for free. And it gives all the in the guide there's some stuff which will explain a little bit more about energy and how it works, and how it gives some guidance for people how to do that. I'd recommend that for people. That's a really sort of simple way. And listening to this, just it'd be interesting to know how they feel when they're much more in their own energy, because it just kind of helps to balance and clean and realign their energy. So yeah, just be interesting to get some feedback on whether people can notice the shifts, because I found that it's, I just thought I know how much it impacted me over the years. And I spent a lot of year working in TV and film alongside doing all my therapy work. And when I was on set, I could literally feel everything from everybody else all the time, all around me. So it was absolutely critical. I wouldn't have been able to function if I didn't know how to manage my energy. So it's a really, really good process. It's a really simple step, and I just wish people knew about it all. So that's why I've put together this guide, so people can actually access it. It gives them some information, but then they will have a recording, something they can stick on an iPod. If they feel a little bit off, they can put it on, and that will really help to just balance them again and make them feel hopefully much more empowered again.
Amazing. I think I'm going to have a listen. That's one of those things I feel like I could do is when I come back from the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing, you're obviously an empath, and yeah, it is. It's like people are really affected if they go, particularly if they go through airports or big shopping centres or places where there's a lot of people. I love going to gigs and festivals. So again, that's another place where there's just so many people, and if you're not in control of your own energy, you can literally be overwhelmed. And that's one of my favourite things to do. So, and to go travelling as well. So, I need to go through an airport to get there. So I need to be able to be in my own energy. And so I can manage that and, and do all the things that I love doing. So yeah, it will hopefully be a useful resource for people.
Yeah, like you say, people just don't realise either. If something is going on holiday, sometimes I know for me personally, when I've done it in the past, is it's taken me 2 or 3 days to recover from the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. You can end up feeling really groggy or feeling really down. You can pick up on other people's thought forms. When people are stressed, our hospitals is another place, and particularly when if somebody's, you can sense this. People who are sensitive to energy can know if they walk into a room and there's been an argument, you can feel that. Or if you go to like a churchyard or something like that, you can feel that it's just got a different energy there. So people can be very, very sensitive to these, and that's why this is a great way of just managing that and helping people to do that.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you were talking as well about people who work in healthcare settings who would benefit.
Absolutely. So again, anybody who works in a hospital, who works in healthcare, where they're serving other people or helping other people, where people who are empaths tend to find that their boundaries particularly might not be very strong. They are very givers, they give a lot, but sometimes they can be overburdened. So it's a really good way of just, when you're strong in your own energy, you just feel so much better, and your physical and mental health and emotional health is just so much better.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's brilliant then. So if people want to find the recording and the guide and just more about you, where would they find you?
So yeah, you can go to my website, which is www.silverbirchtherapies.com. That's as in the tree. silverbirchtherapies.com. So I also have a free Facebook community as well called Live a Life You Love, that offers ongoing support, inspiration and connection. So you can access information about that. You can either go to Facebook and find that, or that's on my website page as well. You can access the guide and the free Facebook community too.
Brilliant.
And I do sort of always putting information on there that hopefully is helpful to people.
Good. And what I'll do is I'll link your website as well, just in the just underneath the recording. So if anybody wants to have a look, you don't have to, if you haven't got a pen to write it down, I'll pop all the information just underneath this recording, so you can hop in there and just click and link straight through to Rebecca's website there as well to get the information. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here today.
Thank you.
It's been so informative, and I think really exciting, especially for people who are just coming into this to be able to learn and understand more about our energetic systems. And I know there's definitely somebody who really needs to hear what we've said today. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Brilliant. And thank you everybody for listening today, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.